Welcome back to Legacy Lab, where history pulls up looking inspirational, and society pulls up looking embarrassing. Today, we're talking about Dr. Charles Drew, the man who basically helped invent modern blood banking, saved millions of lives, and still didn't get the respect he deserved while he was alive. So who was Dr. Charles Drew? Picture this. It's the early 1900s, and America is out here doing the most with segregation, racism, and terrible vibes. Meanwhile, Charles Drew is born in 1904 in Washington, D.C., grows up smart, athletic, and driven, and decides he's not just going to survive history. He's going to improve it. He goes on to study at Amherst College, then becomes a doctor and researcher, eventually attending McGill University in Canada, where he earns his medical degree. Yes, Canada was part of his academic glow-up. Love that for him. Now, here's where the legend part kicks in. During World War II, blood transfusions were becoming extremely important. Soldiers needed blood. Hospitals needed blood. People were dying. And the big issue was this. Blood spoils quickly, and transporting it was a nightmare. But Dr. Drew said, what if we stop acting clueless and use science? He developed groundbreaking methods for collecting, processing, and storing blood plasma, which lasts longer than whole blood. Plasma is the liquid part of blood that carries cells and nutrients, and it can be stored and shipped much more easily. In other words, Drew helped create the system that made blood banks possible. He became the director of a major project called Blood for Britain, which supplied blood plasma to wounded soldiers and civilians in Britain during the war. So yes, Dr. Charles Drew was literally out here saving lives internationally, and you'd think the US government would be like, wow, King, thank you. Nope, because the American Red Cross and the US military started enforcing racist policies that separated blood donations by race, claiming black blood and white blood should not be mixed. And Dr. Drew, being an actual scientist with an actual brain, was like, blood is blood. There is no biological reason to separate blood by race. It was pure racism, dressed up as policy. So Drew protested the rule and eventually resigned because he refused to support nonsense. Imagine being so brilliant that your biggest enemy isn't science, it's stupidity with paperwork. Dr. Drew continued teaching and training black medical professionals, pushing forward the future of medicine, even when society kept pushing him back. He became the first black man to earn a Doctor of Science degree from Columbia University, which is basically history's way of saying, you can't ignore me forever. Fun fact. Dr. Charles Drew is often called the father of the blood bank, but he never actually patented his discoveries, meaning he didn't get rich off saving millions of lives. He was doing it for humanity, not for the bag, which is inspirational, but also tragic because capitalism would never, sadly. Dr. Drew died in 1950 after a car accident, but his work lives on every single time someone receives a blood transfusion, survives surgery, or gets emergency medical care. So next time you hear about blood banks, plasma donations, or life-saving transfusions, remember, the reason modern medicine can do what it does is because Dr. Charles Drew stepped into history and said, let's fix this! This has been Legacy Lab, where we celebrate legends and expose society's nonsense. If you learned something today, hit like, subscribe, and comment below. Should Dr. Charles Drew be taught more in schools? Because honestly, the fact that he isn't already everywhere is suspicious.